Sleep Rap World short story by JameliaAlicia. Hum me, hum me, hum me. Ooh. A sweet, soft melody of textures floods the room, filling it with individuals. This sends each individual into a deep trance of sleep. While they sleep, the gods above them are singing nursery rhymes and school remedies. There is no cure for this. A woman in her late 30s named Eloria, a detective of her own intuition and law. She reads the letter of each rapper in the US and starts counting from 1 to 10 backwards until she hears a voice say, "What is this?" It seems like a room full of people in deep sleep. A science lab of rats, Eloria said. Yes, these are rappers sleeping and being tested on. For what? Complete clowns, Thomas Brandy said. Don't be rude, Eloria said in a sarcastic and humorous tone. As soon as Thomas started to speak, the environment changed, and it stood there like a storm about to break. No one knew when the storm would occur until Eloria banged her pen on the table aggressively to get Thomas's attention. Thomas looked across and changed his stature mysteriously, as if he was influenced by Eloria's movement. There was something about Eloria's movement that made the world command to be quiet and stand in complete awe or questioning of one's own existence. A complete mystery, and that had no allusion to anything. What would happen if the rap world took a complete direction? Over the course of a couple of days, the lab room filled with rappers in a deep sleep changed. Some were asleep and some were awake in complete distortion of reality. No occurrence of their craft and what they had written. One rapper lost their craft, the other lost the ability to recall the fame they had, and some even had amnesia. Eloria started to count the letters written by rappers in the US, 1 to 10 backwards. The repetition begins. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The count was fragile and lasted for a glimpse of a second. Eloria was an experienced detective. She knew how to play her cards right and knew when to speak or not to speak. That was her weapon. You needed to know when to speak so the information delivered makes sense and is solely used for the purpose of finding out information from the perpetrator. The perpetrator's goal is to take accountability and give way to the information they inflicted upon the victims of the case. However, Eloria knew that there was a gap in who the perpetrator was, and the case was to find who did this to the rappers in the US. Baffled? Good. Anxious? Maybe. One rapper mentioned after being awoken from his deep sleep. He was described as being silent and only speaking when spoken to. He had no information to give besides the after effects of the dosages of sleep and the remaining ill aggression of vivid dreams of the rap world being turned upside down by political powers that had associations with mafia and secret societies. An oil leakage that later reveals a handful of letters written by the victims of the sleep rap world experiment on many minorities in the US. The act of freedom is to be awake and find purpose through remembered truth and exposed answers delivered only by victims of the experiment. For this experiment to be exposed, we need to know in detail how this all began. As you know, there are many unfinished questions, and in between them are left gaps of answers to what could have been said. Eloria filled in the gaps of this case and soon found secret words, songs, and information used by some of the victims. The perpetrators were in the dark, were anonymous, and left the world to wonder about their deceased existing shadows. No one was made to be in the dark, and soon justice will come into the light.